Okay, I wanted to share. So today's January 11th, 2024, and I meet online with this lovely group of people, and we do this like bowl transformation ceremony. And I've done it, I think this is like my fourth or fifth time, and every time there's this new experience and insight that arises, and I find it fascinating and amazing. And it's one of those processes that I find my body brings me my intuition. And I just wanted to share some of the things that arose in this bowl ceremony. And so we start by offering kind of what our intention is in terms of what we want to maybe try and let go. And it's this collective experience, right? But we're all on Zoom, so we're all in different places, and we all have different things that are arising. We're focusing on this one bowl. And that's how we begin. And we invite in whoever our helpers are, and we invite them into the space to support our journey. So we have many helpers and we have many intentions, and then we begin spinning the bowl. So we begin spinning the bowl, and we kind of all start with this like physical movement, and we just allow. And so as I was allowing, eventually it turned into like just this and I'm like, what is happening? I'm like, okay, it's like I'm digging, right? It's like I'm digging dirt and I'm needing to get it out, and I'm like digging it and digging it and digging it. I'm like, okay, am I digging in the dirt? Am I digging in a pot? Like, what am I digging? And I'm digging and I'm digging and I'm digging and I'm digging. And then I'm like, okay, like I can't, like I'm holding a trowel or something, and I'm like, I need to like dig with my hands. And I just began digging, infuriatingly fast. And so, I'm digging, and I don't quite understand what's happening, but I'm digging, and I need to go deeper. I need to go deeper. And then I start like kind of hitting something at the bottom, but I still don't understand what I'm digging, and I'm digging, and I see this little piece of like gold, right? And I'm like, oh, of course. Isn't that funny? That's gold. I'm digging for gold, right? But anyway, I'm digging, and there's just this tiny spot, right? Like at the bottom, right? And so I'm like, okay, I need to dig more. I need to pull more away. I need to get more dirt out of the way, right? So I'm not just like digging at that one spot, because I have no idea what I'm digging at. And so as I begin digging and pushing the soil away and the dirt away and whatever that is, I'm digging and I'm pushing everything away. And then it starts kind of feeling like it's rising up to the surface. So as I clear and I make space and I clear, it comes more to the surface for me to see. And, I continue wiping it, making sure it has its full space. And then there's this big slab of gold. Do I understand anything about this? No. So I blow off any extra dust. And then I have this slab of gold, and I don't know what to do. So I just touch it. I'm like, okay, I can be with it. I don't understand what it is or what it's for or anything, but it's beautiful. It's like really not just like beautiful and like its look and that it's gold. It's just like, it was just beautiful, this like hard, solid, like cool, piece of shining, material. And it felt comforting and safe or strong or something. It felt good, but I still didn't understand what this is for. And I rested my face against it, and I touched it, and I'm like, well, I feel like I need to do something with this. I don't know what to do. Like, I'm just with it. And so I kind of dug so I could put my arms underneath it. So now I'm holding the gold. And again, I'm still like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. So I just continue to hold the gold, and holding the gold. And I'm like, what happens to the gold? Like, what is, I don't understand this gold, and I'm trying to just be okay being with it. But I just recognize that there's something that needs to happen to it. And so I wait, and then I'm like, well, what if the gold melts? Like, what happens? Like, because gold reaches hot temperatures and it changes form. So I'm like, okay, well, it can melt. And so as it began to melt on my arms, I just made it into a big ball. And as I was creating this ball, I was like, oh, I can put the gold on me. I can take the gold in. And so I start putting the gold all along my body and trying to make sure all of me is covered in this gold. But it was hard to hold that image of me being covered in this gold. But I just kept coming back to like, yes, this gold is on me. I'm like, okay, this gold is on me. What does this even mean? And so I'm like, okay, well, can I allow this gold to permeate my skin and enter into me? What is this gold supposed to be doing? And this thing that I dug for and I was searching for and I found, and now that I have it, I don't actually even know. And so now I have it on me. I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, what if it could come into my body? So I try and breathe it in, and I do these big, long, deep breaths, and I try and like pull it up through my yoni, and like, can I pull it up through my, center channel kind of thing. And so I'm trying all these different ways to kind of pull it up, and I can't seem to, my brain can't take that in as happening. And so then I sat there and I'm like, okay, well, I can't seem to make it do what I want it to do. And so I sit and I'm like, okay, so if I'm taking in the gold, what needs to happen? And what needed to happen was, as it came in, it pushed things out. So then I start to see this like dark sludge kind of coming out of my head, and it can come out my heart. And we got a warning time, like we're going to be ending in like so much time. And I was like, okay, so I kind of moved a little bit faster, but I'm like, okay, like, so it's hard to hold the image, but I'm like, okay, so if that's coming out, can I help it out? Because, we're running out of time. Can I help it, guide it out? And so I'm like, kind of like pulling it out of me. And then I'm like, I don't know where to put this though. But I'm like, all right, we have the bowl. So I put it in the bowl. And so I give it to the bowl, I offer it to the bowl. And I'm like, yeah, but the bowl needs to be cleared. And so I spin the bowl, and out comes a whole bunch of ashes. And part of me wanted to breathe the ashes in, but I'm like, as this like taking in of the transformed thing, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should not be breathing that in. And so at the end, one of the things, we had many intentions. And so you may or may not know, when you're sharing intentions and when you're sharing that energy space and you're sharing that transformation, everything that gets shared and everything that comes up is actually a shared experience, and we're doing a healing together. And so a lot of the things that people were wanting was to, and myself, I was looking at a level of like detachment from like romantic relationships or any like wounding or ancestral stuff that's kind of keeping me stuck. But also, as I'm moving forward into new things, the feelings of fear, and that imposter syndrome and all those things that just don't want to have me stepping forward. And so so that's what the intention started with. And a lot of people talked about wanting to like find more trust either within themselves or have more like sight and seeing, or more like love or connection to spirit or things like that. There were things that everybody was calling it something different. And so what I recognize is, as I was digging, right, like we have to clear out so much shit. And this is my interpretation, but I'm open to it being different than what I thought, because it's like, man, I'm clearing out shit. Like, you need to clear that shit out. And I'm just like, get it away. I don't want this shit. Like, get it. And I feel like I do lots of work, lots of internal work, and I continue to, and I will always continue to do it. And so I'm like digging, and I find this little piece of something, and I need to like, wow, okay, So how do I get to it? I need to keep clearing, keep doing the work, keep making the space, keep doing it, keep doing it. And, but once I have it, a part of me is like, well, I don't actually fully know what it is, and I don't fully know what to do with it. And just like any gifts that we're given, it can be one of those like, ooh, and we start questioning ourselves. And so I'm like questioning everything. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand this. Now I'm confused because this isn't what I thought. And so like, how many times do we find these gifts within ourselves, or we have gifts within ourselves, and we question ourselves and we doubt ourselves and we're uncertain. And but if we tap into that knowing, right, that energy of knowing and allowing like wisdom or our heart self or our highest self, and just trusting. And so knowing that we can just be with whatever's there, and that we don't always have to control it and change it and shift it. And so as I was with it, I just tried to like find ways to be with it and appreciate it or hold it, right? So how could I be with it? And so many times we have these gifts and we don't know how to be with them, and we're constantly exploring that. And then once we start to gain more confidence or understanding, then it's like, oh, okay. Now because so now I have this, now how do I share it? It becomes the next one. So then I have this stuff and I'm like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do with it. And so I hold it and I recognize like, yeah, like this stuff, like everything can transform and this can change. And so as it began to change, I'm like, oh, what do I do with it? And then it's like, oh, okay, I'll take it. I'll coat myself with it. Or so I didn't know if it was like a layer of protection. I didn't know if it was like divine light or whatever that stuff is. I have no idea. This stuff is coating me. And when I think about that, it's like that trust and that love and that awareness of my phone battery's dying. But that trust of our gifts, right? Like trusting it and owning it and taking it on, and like allowing yourself, your actual body and self to take it. And then when I wasn't sure how to take it in, I was like, okay, how are the ways I know how to take it in deeper, right? And I'm like, oh, like bringing it through breath, bringing it through energy movement. And I was like, but it wasn't working. And then I was trying and I'm like, I still don't understand. And so again, like those gifts, we'll play with them and try and figure them out and understand, and things can feel clunky and we're uncertain. And then again, then I just had to sit and be with it. And I'm like, okay, I'm with it. And as we sit with our gifts and don't have to like force it or change it, and we can allow it to transform, then we can see what else it's offering us. So as I was like, okay, well, because it can be on the outside of me, and that's okay. It can be this layer, and like, how wonderful. But it just felt like there was something more there, and I wasn't quite sure. So it's like, okay, I don't know what more is. Like, I don't know how to bring it in my body. And so I just let it do whatever it did. And I'm like, okay, so if I'm bringing it in and I'm allowing it in, then what has to leave? So whenever we're owning our gifts or starting something new or finding out parts of ourselves, again, we have to start playing with those parts. And as we embody more love and awareness and trust, and I know I'm just using positive words, but as we begin to kind of heal and transform, there are pieces that exit us. And how wonderful that those pieces were there keeping us safe. And they're not this like bad, even though I saw it as like darkness and oozing and like this oozy smokiness needing to leave. Again, like, we all have these really dark thoughts or negative thoughts or things that take us down. And I asked for like a clearing of that, or a cutting of cords, or a cutting, and I asked the ancestors to, who know about this energy, to help me dissolve it, so I don't have to carry these old things. And, but, my heart can be very heavy and my head can be, a lot. And so, it started coming out of my head, and I'm like, is there anything in my heart? And so, although it wasn't like the gold took over the space, it was just that if the gold was coming in, things did need to move. And it just kind of like squeezed it out. And again, we're always gonna like come back to our mind, and we have to work on our mind, and training it, and not letting it decide, or us actually making choices, right? Different choices. And so I always find these bowl ceremonies so powerful. And the insight that comes up for me through my body and through visualization, which I never thought I could do visualization so much in my life, but this experience always just offers me insight to things that I'm looking at or working on. And I'm like, I feel like this should be shared. So here I am sharing it. And I recognize that we're all going to have a different interpretation of that image that I presented to you, that experience that I had, and what that could mean unfolding. So if you have any insight from what I shared of what that could look like, I am so interested in what you have to say and share about that, or how that actually resonated with you. Maybe we are at the new moon in Capricorn, and so it is a time to really be looking forward, and letting our vision to come into fruition. And that Capricorn energy is helping us with structure and the ability to get there. So I wish you many blessings on this new moon, and we'll talk again.